What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday edition. It's the trade deadline preview edition. We're going to discuss tomorrow's NBA trade deadline. We're also going to discuss how Tomas Satoransky is no longer on your favorite team. Nickeil Alexander is no longer on your favorite team. Now, Joe Ingles is on your favorite team, as well as Elijah Hughes. I know Trevin is thrilled about that. We're going to discuss that minor trade that went down today, and then we're going to discuss the storylines. So we got picks against the spread as usual. Wanted to do the stream on a Wednesday to preview the trade deadline, and then obviously we're not doing a Blazers Uprise Live tomorrow. It's the trade deadline stream, so hopefully you can join us for that stream. We'll be going live maybe 8 a.m. I'm going to make sure I get some energy drinks this time and, try and get a little bit more sleep than our previous 8 a.m. stream. Eric, how's your Wednesday going, man?
Oh, just good. Pretty good. I'm just chilling at work right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you're looking clean shaven. You just get a haircut?
Yeah, I just cut my hair the other day.
Yeah, nice. You're looking good. All right. Picks against the spread standings. We got Jackson tied up with me at the top. He caught up. He gained a game on everyone that went 3-3. He's the only one that went above 500. It was very jam-packed and competitive. It wasn't even that we necessarily had the same picks on Monday. Just sorted itself out where nobody did too good or too bad. Everybody 3-3 except for Jackson, as I said, at 4-2. And then Connor and Krish went 2-4. Zach's been doing really well lately. He, I think a couple of streams ago was 6th. He's now up to 4th. Chat, you're within striking range. You just need to put together some good days in terms of picks against the spread. Krish is still struggling down there. Almost 40 games under 500, but I think his comeback starts now. Krish is actually in here for a stream, so that's cool. Alrighty. Game number 1. Eric?
I just want to say the Warriors screwed me on Monday.
Did they?
Well, the spread was 12.5, and they won by 12, and that was my double down.
There was a couple bad games on.
That was also was that the Suns that were up by? They were up by like 15 or 17 with a minute and a half left, and Chicago went on like a 15-0 run behind some guy I'd never heard of, and.
Yeah, Malcolm Hill hit a bunch of threes or something. Yeah, so, Phoenix was favored by 6.5, and we're up like 15, 17, yeah. And they only won by 3, so that was a bad beat. That kind of saved
There was a minute and a half left, and they were up by 15 with a 6.5 point spread. There's no way they should have been able to cover that.
I was talking to Brady. I think it was Brady. Maybe it was somebody else. Actually, I think it was Connor. My bad, Connor. I was talking to Connor. I was like, man, I can't believe I picked the Bulls because I saw that they were down 15 with like a minute and a half left, and then I saw the final was 3. I was ecstatic. So, lots of tough games. Thunder barely eclipsed the point spread by half a point. So Zach won an island with the Thunder on Monday. So congrats to Zach for a winning island. All right, game number 1. Cleveland is an 8-point favorite at home against the San Antonio Spurs.
All right, so for the Spurs, we have Trey Jones and Keita Bates-Diop out. And Cavs have Sexton and Markkanen out. It looks like Garland was questionable. He's going to play.
You said who in Sexton?
Markkanen. Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah. All right. I'll get the chat poll going.
Go Spurs, right? We need them to pass us. We need them to stay ahead of the Pelicans as well, or catch the Pelicans. So let's go.
Yeah, rooting for the Spurs in this game for sure. Which makes me want to pick the Spurs. Connor Spurs, Jackson Spurs, Zach Spurs. What are you going with, Eric? The comment says Eric looking like he works for the Blazers front office now. With the shirt, that's funny.
I'm going to go Cavs.
All right, Eric's going with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Screw it.
I honestly, I also want to go with the Cavs.
Doesn't Cronin have a completely bald head?
Yes, extremely bold.
Like Tori thought I was going bald for a really long time.
Krish says fire emoji, sweating emoji, 100 emoji, gimme Spurs. Okay. Krish is back in chat, everyone. And then Trevin. Is Trevin here?
During COVID, I grew out my hair just to prove I could.
Oh, I remember that. That was fun.
Not cool, Beavis. Take a timeout from me.
I didn't even see what he said. Oh, wait, now I can. Oh, yeah, that's really not cool. Okay. What the hell? Alright, so no... Oh, Trevin's here. Cavs. Okay, cool. Trevin goes Cavs. And chat is also going Cavs. It's a split vote for the first game for the second episode in a row. Trevin, chat, Eric, me, Cavs, Zach, Connor, Jackson, Chris, Spurs. Game number 2, you got Charlotte hosting the Chicago Bulls. Chicago's a 1.5 point road favorite.
And if anyone has any information that I don't, I'm trying to do the injuries on the fly, so if you catch any injuries that I do not say, please let us know. The Bulls are without, of course, Pat Williams, Derek Jones Jr., Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball, and a late addition with a concussion is Ayo Dosunmu. And for the Hornets, they're without Jalen McDaniels, Gordon Hayward, Cody Martin, and James Bouknight.
All right. The Bulls are on a second night of a back to... Oh, wait, no, that was Monday. I keep thinking like Monday was yesterday. I'm going to take...
I'm going to take the Bulls.
Yeah, that's the way I was leaning to. Jackson goes Bulls. Eric Bulls. I'm gonna go Bulls. Zach Hornets, Connor Bulls, Trevin Bulls. Krish goes Bulls. Alright, might be another Zach Island, and this is not a bad island to have whatsoever. Chat is also going with the Chicago Bulls. Alright, game number 3. You got the OKC Thunder versus the Toronto Raptors, and Toronto is a whopping 10-point road favorite.
All right, so for Toronto, it looks like only Goran Dragic is out of this one. And for the Thunder, they're without, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Isaiah Roby, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, Aaron Wiggins, Mike Muscala, and the newly acquired KZ Okpala will not be making his debut tonight.
Nice. James D, $2 dono says, nice haircut, brother.
Thanks. There were some other donos up there, yeah.
Well, I can't see the dono above that one, unfortunately. We also forgot to thank a dono on like a previous stream, so we gotta shout out Jalil next time we see him, and apologize to Jalil. That was on the last Blazers Uprise Live. He donated like $10.
Zach165 with a $2 donation.
With no message. I can't see the dono above that.
That is Zach, $2 donation. Our mod Zach. What's up, Zachary? He just says Ingles.
Ingles, man, yeah. I'm going Raptors.
All right.
Connor Raptors.
I'm also going to go Raptors.
Makes me want to go Thunder. I'm having deja vu of Monday.
Cool. What's up, Brady?
When the Thunder... What? Thunder are going to lose by 9. Krish goes OKC. Zach Raptors. Jackson messaged you the rest of his picks, Eric?
It's on the Discord.
Oh. Other mods don't... Okay, I see it. Other mods don't look at the mod Discord. Don't cheat. Shout out to Connor for a $10 dono.
Only Tori wants to cheat.
I'm not going to bake my picks based off Jack. You can read them if you want. He goes Raptors for this game. I didn't read the other one. The other ones. Shout out to Connor, $10 dono. Connor says Ingles. Right? Is that how you say it when you have the thing over the E? I don't know. He says Ingles, though. Appreciate the $10 dono, Connor. You just won up Zach. Congratulations on the dub. Is there a video explaining how picks against the spread works? Okay, so for anybody that doesn't know how it works, this is the most viewers we've ever had for this segment. We do this to start every one of these episodes, and then we discuss, whatever the stream's about. If it says Toronto -10, right? So it says Toronto -10 at the top of this graphic. That means they're favored by 10 points. That means I picked Toronto, so that means I think that they'll win by 11 or more. Okay? Krish picked OKC. That means that he thinks the Raptors will win by 9 or less, or he thinks OKC will win. So basically, Krish picks OKC, and then OKC gets up to 10 points that they can lose by, if that makes sense. So when I say Toronto's a 10-point favorite, that's what we're betting off of. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I explained that well. All right, what are the other picks? We're waiting on... Where's Trevin's pick? I didn't see Trevin's pick. Raptors. Okay, cool. I was missing out on that one. We got a Krish Island, so just like Monday, we got a Zach Island and we got a Krish Island because Chet is going with the Toronto Raptors. All right, game number 4, you got the Jazz hosting the Warriors, and the Jazz are 2-point home favorites.
So the Warriors are without Draymond, Wiseman, Bielitsa, Iguodala, and Looney is questionable. And then out for the Jazz is Rudy Gobert and Rudy Gay. The two Rudies. Oh, look at this. James D with a 10.05 dono that says Ingles battle for the good of the uprise. Thank you, James.
Congratulations, James. You're now the winner, currently. Joe Ingles is going to become my favorite player. Dude, I can't believe Joe Ingles is on our favorite team, but it doesn't even feel like he's on our team, Eric, because he's probably
we'll
not
talk
on our
about
team.
this later, yeah.
This is just weird. Anyway,
I really wanted him in the offseason.
Yeah. Now he's hurt and was kind of washed before that, unfortunately. Connor's in shambles. He goes Warriors.
Since there's no Gobert, I'm going to take the Warriors as well.
The home team needs to be Jazz. Wait. I put the away team as Jazz. Let me fix this. Away team is Warriors. Home team is Jazz. Okay, there. Who'd you take?
I took the Warriors.
Okay. That goes Warriors, bruv. This is tough without Gobert. With Gobert, I would have gone Utah. Without Gobert, I'm surprised they're still favored. I'm going to Golden State as well, unfortunately. No fun. Golden State for Krish even, so we might get a clean sweep. We didn't learn from Monday when everybody took the Warriors and they didn't cover. Waiting on Trevin and Jackson. Oh, wait, Jackson sent his picks. Jackson went with the Warriors as well. So waiting on Trevin. Trevin went Warriors. Okay, Trevin, I'm like missing your comments. I don't know why. I'm tripping. Warriors, 69% of the vote. All right. That's a clean sweep. It's rare nowadays. Game number 5, Eric. Your are Portland Trailblazers versus your Los Angeles Lakers.
Go Lakers, yeah. I mean, we want these losses, right?
Yeah, and we want the Lakers to stay above the Pelicans so we get that draft pick.
So the Lakers are Nunn and Melo out. Dwight Howard, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook all questionable. Blazers are without Dame, Nas, Didi Luzada, Joe Ingles, Eric Bledsoe, Keon Johnson, and the newly acquired Elijah Hughes all out of this one. Josh Hart expected to play, it looks like. If someone could please keep track of who the chat's double down is, that would be great.
Warriors got 68. Raptors got 75. Bulls got 63. Cavs got 63. So right now it'd be... What was it? Raptors at 75%.
Okay.
Alright. Joshua Collins says, wait, I'm late. They traded for Ingles? We'll discuss that in a second.
That. Yeah.
Chris goes Blazers. Connor goes Blazers. I went Lakers. Russell Westbrook masterclass. Zach went Blazers. What?
If he plays, we're in trouble.
Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
Oh, you said he was questionable too?
Yeah.
AD masterclass.
I'm taking the Lakers, of course.
Yeah. I mean, we lost by like almost 20 to the Magic, so...
And we just played really bad against the Lakers.
Connor says, tomorrow they're going to announce Westbrook and a first for John Wall, and I'm going to laugh my ass off. That would be funny. Although that might not be a bad trade for them. I mean, it's a terrible trade for them because that pick is going to be probably a good pick, but like for this year, it wouldn't be a bad trade.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up a first, right, to get Westbrook, and then they gave up a first to get rid of him. That's some Blazer crap right there.
Facts. Trevin goes Lakers. And then chat is Lakers as well. All right. So Zach, Connor, Krish going Blazers. Everybody else going Lakers. All right. Sixth and final game. We got the Kings, the Sacramento Kings, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are 8-point road favorites.
All right. So, I haven't heard, is Sabonis supposed to make his debut?
I don't know. It seems kind of soon, but maybe.
All right, so Pat Beverly is questionable.
I'll look up Sabonis.
Beverly and Russell suited up last night, but they've all been thrown back on the injury report, likely to play it safe. Anthony Edwards also questionable. Nas Reed questionable.
Okay.
Torian Prince questionable. And Josh Okogie questionable. So they have a ton of questionable guys. And then the Kings are without Terrence Davis, Bagley questionable, Harkless doubtful, and then I don't know if they're getting any players from the trade tonight.
Domantas Sabonis expected to make Kings debut Wednesday from Roto Baller NBA.
Cool. I'm taking the Kings then.
Eric's on the Sabonis train.
Cat is not questionable, Connor. And looks like Fox isn't either.
I'm gonna go with the Timberwolves.
Andre Bledsoe's contract doesn't work. It's way bigger than Nickeil Alexander-Walker, so that wouldn't have been possible to throw that one in the trade.
Oh, there's your chat poll, by the way, chat. Yeah, I wanted to wait until we knew everything that we could find out. Connor goes Kings.
I was just answering a Bledsoe question. It didn't have anything to do with it.
All right. Zach, Trevor, Krish, and chat. Zach went Wolves. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and.
Trevin goes Kings. So just waiting on Chris. Chris said, "Let's go Kings." So I'm gonna give him the Kings.
The Kings are like his. I mean, he likes lots of teams, but the Kings are one of his favorites.
Oh, are they? All right, and then chat goes with the. Wait, who chat go with?
Kings.
I forgot. Kings. Okay, cool. Chat goes Kings. All right, time for double downs. Chat's double down is the Toronto Raptors. If anybody has never seen this part of this segment, if you're new to this, double down means you get 2 wins or 2 losses for your pick instead of just one. So whichever pick you're most confident in. So chat Raptors. I am going to double down. Let me go back through the spreads real quick for anybody.
I'm going to double down on the Bulls.
All right. Eric's going Bulls. I'm going to go Warriors.
Chris is Thunder. I don't know what Zach's Island is.
Does he forget to?
He says, I doubled down on my island. I forget which one.
Hornets.
Which
isn't a bad island by any means. So he's going against you.
Awesome. There's an automatic L for me.
For you.
I see Kings for both Trevin and Connor. Are those from the last one, or are those their actual double down? No, Trevin says Warriors. Never mind.
Jackson went Lakers. And then Connor. Said, let's go Kings. So, oh wait, I don't know if that's from Let's Go Kangs. Okay, that's from the last one. Still waiting on Connor. And then we'll start talking this trade. Connor has all the power in the world right now. We're just sitting here waiting for him. He's enjoying this. He goes Blazers. Oh my god,
Whoa.
Connor's drunk. Alright. Well, good luck, Connor.
No, don't. I mean,
Good luck to Connor, but
good
you're
luck to
you're
Connor
screwed.
for covering the spread, but not for the Blazers winning. Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, that is picks against the spread. One last look at the standings as we head into today's slate of games. All right. So, trade today, Eric. The Blazers are
Third move in what, 5 days?
Yeah, third move in 5 days. So, they traded the recently acquired Nickeil Alexander-Walker, as well as Tomas Satoransky, for Joe Ingles, who's out for the season with an ACL tear, for Elijah Hughes, a second-round rookie from last year. He's in his second year. He was drafted in the second round in 20... When was Elijah Hughes drafted? This is his second year, right? Or is it his third year?
Who?
Elijah Hughes.
It's his second year, but he was
Second
a
year.
second-round pick. They signed him to the 2-year minimum, so
Yeah.
he's a free agent after this year. We could offer him a qualifying offer, but if we're chasing cap space, I expect him to just be like, oh. Unless he plays really well.
Yeah, and Portland also got a second-round pick. Do you know which second-round pick that is?
We got the 2022 Memphis Grizzlies.
At least it's a 2022 pick.
Yeah.
Screw it. I mean, at least it's a 2022 pick. You know, maybe we can. So where is the
That's
Memphis?
funny, Zadie.
I'm gonna see and look at where the Memphis pick currently would
I'll beat you.
be. Nope. Because Memphis is where's their logo? Oh, 58th. Technically, it's 56th because the Heat and the Bucks both forfeited their draft picks, but Michael Foster Jr. is on the mock draft, us taking him at 58. Right below that, Johnny Juzang at 59.
Well, actually, Miami's is the next available second, which isn't this year, so it's just one spot up.
What do you mean?
Because Miami already had traded this second round pick, so they wouldn't, the team who has their second round pick wouldn't forfeit it.
Yeah, but the 76 the Heat had a 76er second that they had to forfeit
I did
at
not see that on
52.
here.
That's what Tankathon is saying. Yeah, that's what Tankathon is saying. I don't know. It just says 52nd pick from Philadelphia. Like Miami's 52nd pick via Philadelphia is forfeited.
Yeah.
And then Cleveland has Miami's second round pick at 57. So, and the Bucks just straight up forfeited their own second round pick. So yeah, that's gonna be weird. What? So it's like final pick of the draft is gonna be the 58th pick. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
so
so you want Memphis to lose then, I guess, or not? We want them to not be as good the rest of the year.
Yeah, I guess. But how far above are they compared to? I mean, we're gonna be watching multiple teams for draft positioning, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go look at the standings because they might be in that pack of Eastern Conference teams. They are 2.5 games ahead of. They're the third best record by 2.5 games, but then there's a lot of teams like 3 to 4 games back of them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean maybe I don't
Could
know.
fall to
I don't
early
really,
50s maybe.
Yeah, that's unlikely, and honestly, it's not even a big deal. So I mean, that pick we probably could have bought. So that pick is basically, let's just be honest, that pick is worthless, right?
I mean, unless we're talking about using it in a trade.
Yeah. So did we get a traded player exception from this trade?
Yes, it was 3.2 million.
That's not bad. So Satoransky matched Ingles and Hughes, or Hughes was accounted for with the Trent TP maybe, or
I think that's most likely what it was. I didn't see the exact details, just that we created that exception.
okay. So I mean, this trade is just, there's a reason we didn't go live when this trade happened. I woke up to a text, Eric saying we made a trade, and I think it was only like 30 minutes after the trade, but Eric's like, we made a trade, not big enough to stream. It's like, okay, cool. Because honestly, Joe Ingles is probably not going to be on this team next year. He's a free agent. Elijah Hughes probably isn't going to be on this team next year. He's going to be a free agent. Maybe Elijah Hughes is a guy that could break out a little bit, though. That'll be an intriguing guy to watch play some, like, minutes as we tank. And then that second
Another
round pick
shooting
is pretty
guard,
worthless. So the biggest part of this deal for Portland is maybe the traded player exception, even though it's small.
Yeah, as long as we didn't use part of that 6.5 million one. So now we have a 20.8, a 6.5, and a 3.2. And
Yeah.
in my mind, that is way better than having cap space, because they're more flexible, because you can sign and trade for free agents with them, but it also opens up trade things. So I would much rather just have like all these trade exceptions than have multiple or like a ton of cap space.
Yeah, so Satoransky matches, since we're below the tax, Eric,
Yeah.
we can
14 and a
use
half. Yep.
Satoransky in his $10 million contract to match $15 million incoming. So Satoransky matches Ingles and Hughes because that's within $5 million. So then we get the traded player exception by trading out Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Yeah, so the rule is for recently traded players, you can trade multiple recently traded players in trades. You just can't combine their salaries to match salary, right? So if Ingles was making like $16 million and Satoransky didn't match him and Nickeil Alexander-Walker didn't match him, we couldn't make this trade because you can't combine their salaries. But since Satoransky can match Ingles and can match Hughes, Satoransky can match everything in the trade. We can just throw Nickeil Alexander-Walker on top of that, and since he's being thrown on top of that, and his salary isn't needed to match what we're bringing in, we get a $3.2 million traded player exception for him. So that's where that comes from. So we have $20.8 million TPE, a $6.5 million TPE. I mean, we still have this TPE, but it's like minimum, like this traded player exception isn't really that useful, and it
expiring
expires tomorrow. So, yeah, we have a $3.2 million TPE, a $6.5 million TPE, and a $20.8 million TPE. See, like, Fanspo won't let this go through because recently traded, can't trade multiple recently traded players. So that's why it's nice to know the CBA so that I can just go off and I can go in here and, like, turn off this rule and still know if it works or not. So that's what I'll do. Salaries, I mean, I just know the CBA. I just know this works, So that's the trick. Go ahead.
We have a couple of questions about TPEs. So Zach's asking, do we need to use the trade exception if we're already under the cap? So it's kind of a complicated answer to a simple question. If we use cap space, we'd have to renounce the TPEs. So we would only want to do that if we didn't want to use the TPEs. So, like, let's say we traded for Simmons and we're exactly like 35 million under the cap, and we wanted to trade for Simmons, and we would have to forfeit all our TPEs in order to use that cap space. So then we wouldn't get them.
Because the TPEs take away from your cap space, right, Eric? Technically, it's like the $20.8 million TPE takes $20.8 million away from our cap space.
It's basically like, for those that don't know, like Nurkic and Ant are free agents this offseason. So if they're still on our roster and we want the rights to stay or go over the cap to re-sign those guys, we have to keep their cap hold, and that eats into our cap space. So it's just like that. It's like a cap hold on your thing. So you can renounce them to take that cap space, or you can keep them and use, like, let's say we're under the cap exactly how much we had in TPEs, we could then, like, sign someone to the mid-level exception and act as an over-the-cap team and keep all those. Or we could renounce all of them and then sign someone, and then we wouldn't have those. So it would make more sense to do it the other way, unless there was a really good free agent that was worth renouncing them all for.
Yep. So you can't. The people out here on Twitter that says, "Oh, they have all this cap space and these traded player exceptions," they're misguided, because you can't have both of those things. It's either one or the other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on the player, because we could use the TP now or before free agency, so like at the draft, right? Take on a Jeremy Grant. But then that eats into your cap space, so you don't have as much. So you would be out of the Simmons race. So then you're talking about maybe you have like 15 to 20 million in cap space at some point. But like that's
but like it's like otherwise you would have had $40 million of cap space, and you could have just traded Grant into the cap space anyway.
Right.
So that's why it's like either or.
Yeah. But I'm saying it is possible to use the trade exception and cap space. It just limits how much cap we have to bring in someone with cap space. So,
in case anybody's confused, like you don't have to match salary if you have cap space, right? I don't know if anybody was confused about that, but if you have $20 million of cap space, you can trade for a player making $20 million, so you don't have to trade anything out, right? So it kind of works like a trade player exception, right? But if you have $50 million of cap space, you can trade for $50 million of salary and not trade anything out, and you're fine. The trade works. You can trade for players into cap space.
Yeah.
So people will try and like act like, oh, this front office is doing a great job. Look at these trades.
We're gonna get Grant and Simmons.
Yeah, we're going to get Grant Simmons. Look at these trade exceptions and the cap space. And it's like, no, they don't get both. And also, if you want to go the Ben Simmons route, that means that you basically... I mean, if they're planning on going for Ben Simmons, they need to trade Nurkic. If they want to go the cap space route to trade for Ben Simmons, they need to trade Nurkic. And they also need to trade Josh Hart right now. I mean, you can trade Josh Hart in the offseason because you can pick up his option and then try and see if there's a team with a trade exception or whatever that can trade for him outright. But you can't go forward with
I mean, it would be dumb to cut those guys and get nothing back, is what you're saying.
Yeah. You don't want to let Nurkic walk in the offseason. Nurkic has an $18 million cap hold this offseason. So even if you get rid of Hart, if you still have Dame, Anthony Simons' cap hold, Nas, Justice Winslow, you have to get him off the roster. See, that's why that first trade was bad. You know, you have Eric Bledsoe's potential dead money. If we buy him out, he'll count $4 million against the cap next year. So that trade wasn't good. With everybody we have on the roster now, with our draft picks we currently have, even if we get rid of Josh Hart, if we try and keep Nurkic with his cap hold, we only have $16 million of cap space. Like $16, $17 million of cap space. So you would have to renounce Nurkic's cap hold, get rid of Hart, and then, you know, you'd have to trade maybe the New Orleans pick or maybe even our own pick for Simmons, and then you're like borderline making it work.
Here's the problem. Philly, in order to trade Simmons to us, would be trying to sign Harden outright, right?
Yeah.
Trading a 2022 first gives them salary back to them, whereas they would want to clear their books because with they have Embiid and Tobias Harris on max contracts.
I think they would use the pick with Tobias Harris to try and get back like a similar caliber player that's just at a lower salary.
Okay, so they're going to. It
doesn't make much sense.
They would dump Simmons and Tobias in a salary dump for a lower player, and to sign Harden.
I mean, that's what it sounds like. That's the theory that's been, who was it? Sam Amick proposed that theory. And I could see them being like, well, Simmons doesn't even play for us, right? Now they'll justify getting rid of Simmons, right? Simmons doesn't even play for us. So it's, you know, Sim and Tobias for like James Harden and Harrison Barnes or whatever.
Yeah, but what I don't get about that is, like right now, why wouldn't they just trade Simmons to a team for expiring contracts and multiple future firsts? Because then they would have all those firsts and they could attach those to Tobias in the offseason and just be rid of it now.
I mean, it could be a situation where they would want to use the pick we trade them because it's a good pick and then try and attach a future first to Tobias and get somebody lower salary. I don't know. It's a convoluted theory. There's a lot of ways where it could go wrong for Portland, and I don't expect them to be able to pull it off.
We heard the Kings were super interested in Simmons, right? And they could have taken Tobias, right? Or they would be one of the teams willing to take Tobias. Mm-hmm. So that would have been their out to do that, and then you trade those pieces or whatever. I don't know. I just think there would have been a way out of it ahead of time, and to not do it now. See, we're kind of screwed because if they don't want any salary back, if they truly just want to dump Simmons to a team that can absorb him, there's plenty of other teams that can do that.
Yeah, I mean, but you know it could get creative where it's like, okay, instead of them getting back the 6th pick or whatever we're trading them, that goes to a team that's willing to give up 3 future firsts for the 6th pick, and that all goes to Philly.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, there could be teams that are in similar situation from us. Like an OKC could maybe offer a similar pick and a future first as well, or a couple future firsts, and then we're stuck in a position where we still can't trade any other than those 2 2022 firsts. We can trade them both, I guess, after the pick is made, but other than that, I
thought OKC was over the cap this offseason.
Well, I was just using an example, maybe not them, but yeah.
I mean, there's not. That's the thing. I mean, there isn't a lot of teams. Yeah, they could. There isn't a lot of teams with cap space though, so I think that's what Portland's banking on. If that's their plan, it's just people act like, oh wow, this is genius. This plan, I think it's more likely that it goes. If this is our plan to try and clear cap space to trade for Ben Simmons, I think it's noticeably more likely that we don't get Ben Simmons and everything blows up in our face than we do get Ben Simmons. You know, go ahead.
Real quick, so thank you to everyone in chat. Larry Nance Jr. is set to have knee surgery on Friday.
Oh.
Interesting.
Does that make... Okay, so he's probably out for the rest of the season?
I don't know, it just says for knee soreness. It doesn't say there's any, like, structural
So it might
damage.
be like like
just to
6
clean up
weeks or...
something, yeah.
That makes that trade look slightly better, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it sounded like he was about to return, and I guess it's still bothering him, but...
All right. You're a small market, right? Portland Trailblazers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you are sitting there thinking, what's the best plan for us to put the most around Dame or to reset this all, right? Clean up the caps and clean up the books. I don't like the plan being to have to basically get lucky in the lottery and hit on a free agent or like a miracle trade like the Simmons trade for that plan to work out, right? Especially in Portland. That's never happened before, really, like with the free agent, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it is kind of shooting for the stars. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
It is, but here's the problem. And this is why like I'm so mad about the trades we've gotten so far. Is like I just brought it up. After this draft, we're still stuck in that same situation other than adding a few second round picks where past this draft, we don't really have any assets to trade now, right? So in my mind, to pull this off correctly, you almost have to have a good plethora of future picks, right? And that way you can use those to go get whoever you want. You don't have to worry about what you're going to give up in a trade. So my problem is we did all this for, we trade Norm and stuff who maybe could have gotten a better pick if we would have gotten the Clippers 2028 first out of that instead of Keon Johnson or whatever the compensation was. Then all of a sudden we're sitting here with a future pick that we could possibly attach with like our $6.5 million TPE to get someone who's maybe on a really, really nice contract and you can fill out your roster that way, But right now we have these TPEs and maybe cap space, and we don't really have anything to use in a sign and trade or other things to do. So I like the idea in principle. I just think to pull it off, you need to have better future assets, and that's where the trades failed, is to provide much in terms of like young players that are actually have trade value, as we saw today with Nickeil Alexander-Walker didn't really have trade value, and then it didn't really provide any future picks or anything to help supplement that or to help make that whole process easier. So we're going about it like the right way, I feel like, but we're making it harder. And then we trade for an Eric Bledsoe who costs $4 million towards our cap next year. So that's going to be tricky if we don't trade him for an expiring contract right now. And then we have Justice Winslow now on the roster, who we probably have to attach a second to dump or something, maybe this offseason. Maybe not. Maybe there's a team that covets him or whatever for $4 million next year. But that's $8 million between those two that we picked up in that trade that we didn't have to take on and could have gotten better assets for Norm. So I just don't understand why we would do all these trades, not maximize our value in those trades if this was the route we were taking all along.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But at this point,
right?
I'm just trying to evaluate the feasibility of what they're supposedly trying to do, right? So I am currently on Spot Track, looking at Philadelphia, all right? And I did the math. Without Ben Simmons' contract, and Danny Green is a non-guaranteed, so like if they cut him without, cutting all these guys, right? So just with the guys they have under contract next year, if they traded Simmons into cap space, they would then have $20 million of cap space. So they would have to shed what's Harden's a 35% max, right? Due to how long he's been in the league.
Yeah, but I think his is it tied to his current contract or is it not?
Well, if they're trying to sign him with cap space, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know, but like 35% of 121 million is $42 million. So they would then have to shed another another $23 million.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd have to trade Tobias Harris and get back no more than $14 million of salary. Do you know how hard that's going to be?
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying that for chat. Like, I know you know how hard that's going to be. Chat, do you guys know how hard that's going to be? I don't. Like, this is already questionable in terms of, is it feasible for Portland to put together a good roster around it, and, like, how is it going to work for Portland? It's also insanely questionable if it's feasible for Philadelphia. How are they going to get rid of Tobias Harris? And is it really a situation where they will dump Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons for no assets?
You know, it'd be hilarious if they did that and then Harden didn't sign there. Harden backed out at the last minute or something.
That'd be funny. I mean, I don't understand
the theory behind getting Simmons for free is that they would try to avoid having to deal with the Nets that are helping the Nets out, and the Nets don't want to trade Harden to him, which I think is all a smokescreen. I think maybe they end up just trading him there to make sure they don't lose him for nothing. But if I'm the Nets, I'm looking at what you just showed me and being like, okay, get him if you can. Like, well, you're not going to be able to.
The other route, the more feasible route for them. All right, I'll bring this back up. The more feasible route for them would be to try and trade Seth Curry and get nothing back. I think that's doable.
Mm-hmm.
There's trade player exceptions that are big enough. And then...
The funny thing is, though, the rumor today was that they were balking at including Curry for Harden. But like you said, you have to...
Well, yeah. I mean, I think maybe they'd get assets back for this. I don't know. I don't know what the reports are. I'm just exploring the feasibility of this route. Mm-hmm. All right? So reports are going to say, oh, well, they don't want this. And reports are going to say a bunch of things. I'm just trying to explore the feasibility of this route. The most feasible way they could do it would be Ben Simmons for nothing. Then they still have to clear, 24 million, but if they trade players out and don't get anything back, then that creates a incomplete roster charge too. So they'd have to trade Seth Curry for nothing, Korkmaz for nothing back, maybe a pick or what. I mean, they're not going to pick for Korkmaz, but Thibault, right, for nothing back, and that's approximately 18 mil. That creates about 2.7 mil in roster charges, so that would be more like 15.3 mil. So they still have to trade out 8 million.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, though, maybe something for Tobias works. I don't know what they could do. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Sacramento would trade Harrison Barnes and then another salary to get close to matching. I don't know how much cap space they have. I can look, but that's basically how they'd have to do it, and it's convoluted.
I think they might have to take a Bertans type contract.
Yeah.
Back, yeah.
I mean, if you're Washington and you're trying to surround Bradley Beal with the best players, and you have a bad contract for a guy who's a scrub. Let me look at Washington.
See, that's why I think they should do it now. They know they have to get rid of Tobias, right?
Yeah.
To have this happen. You don't have to trade Simmons now. You can still do that this summer. But I would try to trade Tobias now. I'm just going to look at the Wizards real quick. But
I have it up right now.
Yeah.
So Bertans plus KCP's $4 million guaranteed next year, but they probably wouldn't want any guaranteed. Montrezl Harrell's an expiring contract. Thomas Bryant's an expiring contract.
Yeah.
So let's go back
to three.
Let's go back to the trade machine.
If I'm the Wizards, I would think about doing that.
Yeah. They struck out on Sabonis.
Tobias is actually a decent fit there. Not the best, but I mean, I know no team wants him or would covet that contract, but
yeah. So you'd have to do Philly, and then you'd have to do the Wizards. Where's the Wizards at? Wizards, and it'd have to be they aren't gonna want to go into the tax though. That's the other part of this. So
Mm-hmm.
this is. Oh, they stay under the tax, but they would have to sign somebody most likely. So maybe it's a side trade, or maybe they throw in like Aaron Holiday, right? And then you get back like I don't know, whatever, whoever they don't care about, just to make the numbers even.
Yeah.
And then so Tobias Harris is 3 years, 39.
Maybe
He doesn't have an option or anything, does he?
I don't
It
think
won't
so.
say here.
I'll look.
All
But
right, yeah, look and see if he has an option.
so they might have to attach something, maybe,
Who?
like a future first or something.
The Wizards?
No,
Maybe flip.
I would say the Sixers maybe.
I mean, I would rather have Tobias' contract than Bertans, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because it's 1 year shorter, and at least Tobias does something.
I wonder what Beal thinks of Tobias. It seems like Tobias is a good teammate and stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you can, like, give up a bad contract and then no real assets on top of it for Washington and get back somebody who's, like, notable name-wise, and you can be like, hey, Bradley Beal, we got you Tobias Harris.
Oh
I can see
my
Washington
gosh.
doing that.
So no opt-out. Get this.
What?
Tobias Harris has a trade kicker as well.
Oh, God, that's such a terrible contract.
Philly's so dumb. But, like, I mean, a lot of players will waive it. I don't know if he would or not, because that's quite a bit of money. 5% of that contract.
What about Bertans' contract? Does he have an option for is there an option on him for the 4th year? They really gave him like a 5-year, $90 million contract. What are these?
Yeah, and Norman Powell sucks.
And Norman Powell's contract sucks, yeah.
It's 5 years, 80, but
5 years, 80, whatever. I mean,
they have an early termination for the last year.
Okay, so this is technically a 3-year contract.
But if he plays 75% of the games in the season before, so what is that, about 60 games?
Yeah.
61 games, and then it's $5 million guaranteed, so
they're just not going to play him.
Almost a third of it is.
They're just not going to play him.
Yeah.
Like, whatever team is just not going to play him.
Coaches DMP the last 20 games.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the trade kicker would become part of the salary cap because that just changes his contract to the bigger amount. So whatever team acquired him would have to pay him a lot. But like I said, almost every trade involving someone with a trade kicker, they like waive it just because they want to go to the team they're going to or whatever. But
yeah, agreed. So
because obviously Tobias is, if he's asked to waive it, the Sixers don't want him at all, and they're trying to get rid of him, and maybe getting to go to the Wizards is better than ending up in like Sacramento this summer or something, you know.
Yeah, so like something like this, and then they would only have to shed like another $8 million or so. These guys are expiring, so then it becomes like if you can get rid of like Korkmaz and Thibault, maybe you're there. But it'd basically be like Tobias and a first. You get back Bertans' horrible contract, or no, it'd be Tobias, like Simmons, Korkmaz, Thibault, and a first for James Harden, Bertans' crappy contract, and then maybe you get some first back if you flip the first that you get for Simmons. Is that good for... I don't think that's good for Philadelphia.
See, and the problem for Portland is this relies on all this happening even to be in a position for them to need to dump Simmons, right?
Yeah.
Like this, there's just way too many variables in my mind.
Honestly, Washington might be stupid enough to like...
What? Is that even better than like just trading for CJ this year? Simmons for CJ straight up?
No. I don't know. It's so questionable, dude. Everything about this is just questionable. Like, I mean, they're Washington slightly over the tax, but maybe if you gave them like, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Like if you gave him a first and another asset like a Thibault or whatever.
Thibault's untouchable according to Morey too.
I mean, Morey, but if it helps you get Harden, is he still untouchable? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like maybe it's something like this, right? And then KCP is like $4 million guaranteed next year, so it's like you save like 33 mil. So then you'd have 53 mil in cap space, so they could use the pick that they got for Simmons. They could draft somebody with it.
Yeah.
And then they would have Harden and Maxey and whoever they drafted in the lotto and Embiid and...
Because, yeah, if they don't do this, basically what it comes down to is the Sixers are going to tell the Nets, we'll just get Harden in free agency. And the Nets are going to say, yeah, good luck with that. Nice try. And then it'll come down to either Harden accepting less or the Sixers completely gutting their whole roster and future assets just to add Harden. And then you'd have two teams basically screwed in the 76ers and the Nets. If they don't win a title, they're both screwed.
Yeah. I mean, the Sixers would still have Curry. So they have Maxey, Harden, Curry, 3-guard rotation, right? And then they still have Niang at the 4, Embiid at the 5. Maybe they bring back Drummond on a minimum. They just need a starting 3. And it's like they would use the lotto pick. Maybe they get an AJ Griffin or whatever, depending on where our pick ends up. If our pick ends up top 3, then I don't know. I wouldn't do that for Simmons, but who knows. So then they get that, and then they would have a room exception. I feel like they would be a major player for like vet minimum guys and like room exception, you know what I mean? And they might be able to get a solid starting 3. That might be worth it for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That might be a good plan. Or not necessarily a good plan. That might be a good result, because the plan, it's like, how are you going to do this? You know, it's everything about this plan is questionable. But if something like this happens, then all of a sudden it becomes a more... The thing is, like, this whole plan for the Sixers affects the plan for the Blazers.
Yeah.
Everything the Sixers do with this is, like, relevant to the Blazers. That's why we're talking about it.
Even if they needed to dump Simmons, I don't understand, with how much they've asked for all year, then all of a sudden they're just going to dump him to us for a first-round pick. Like, I don't know if that's going to be feasible.
Yeah. I mean, that's the part that confuses me. But, like, maybe they justify it. It's like, oh, well, we're doing it so we can get Harden.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Simmons
like
for Harden and a pick.
Yeah.
Right. You know? And then we luck out. Right? Like, if we could get it for the New Orleans pick, I mean, that's obviously the pipe dream. That's the thing, is, like, there has been times in the past where I've, like, tried to lay out a plan. It's like, oh, it just doesn't seem realistic at all. And then, like, teams kind of pull it off. I can't remember any specific instances, but it's like, I've had to open my mind to more kind of outlandish possibilities, because there are GMs out there that get creative and kind of pull off wild things. It's just confusing with all the messaging about Ben Simmons, but I almost think you have to just throw that out the window, because they would trade Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris for James Harden in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
Well, I mean, Morey in Houston did this at least, it was 2 years in a row, maybe even 3 years in a row. He just traded like everyone to get cap space and attached asset. Like one of the years, that was when we got Thomas Robinson for like second round picks, future seconds, because they didn't want any salary on their books. And then they strike out on a Chris Bosh in free agency, or I forget who all of it was, but like every year they would strike out. It's kind of, the Mavericks have done this several times too, where they've had a ton of cap space and they end up with like DeAndre Jordan and stuff. Like, so yeah, it's not guaranteed. I mean, you would think if they did this, they have kind of a somewhat handshake agreement from Harden's agent that he's going there, but so much can change. Like, I mean, Harden could change his mind. It's not like he hasn't done that before. So, uh, I just, I just think it makes too much sense if they're going to try to do this summer to just do whatever it takes to trade for him now and not worry about that.
Yeah, yeah. The problem is Portland does not have the means to trade for. It's impossible for Portland to trade for Ben Simmons right now, Eric,
Yep.
without trading Damian Lillard.
Well, yeah. So what we'd have to do is, I mean, Simmons would have to get traded to the Nets, and then the Nets we'd have to wait till the offseason to try to get him, I guess. But
Yeah, there is no chance we get him at the deadline because we don't have the contracts. Like people, I don't know. I feel like some people will think, oh, well, Bledsoe plus Nurkic. Well, you can't combine Bledsoe's salary with other salary.
yeah,
You can't. So where are you going to get the? You're going to have to trade out like $30 million of salary. Where are you going to get? And maybe a little bit less, like $26.5 million of salary. Where are you going to get that amount of combinable salary though? Because you can't combine Hart with anybody. You can't combine Bledsoe with anybody. It has to be basically players that were already on the roster or somebody who already makes $26 million. The only guy we have making more than $26 million right now is Damian Lillard. And the salary we've had left on the team is like Nurkic's $12 million and then what? Nas at $4 million? Like Ant at $5 million?
waiving Joe Ingles does absolutely nothing. It does nothing to fix this problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Nurk. Like, what's if we just included everyone other than Dame that we can combine? Who's left? Nurk, Ant, Nas is what? Off the top of my head, like just under 20 million, 19, 20 million.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else? Because Watford's on a two-way. Greg Brown makes less than $1 million.
LOB.
LOB makes 1.5. So we're talking, that's 2.5. So we're up to like 21.5, right? Is there anyone else?
Yeah. No.
I don't think there's anyone else on our team we could trade, right?
We cut Zeller. Macklemore.
Macklemore, so we're to
20.
22.7.
No, wouldn't that be? You said 21.5, so that
Oh,
would be
20,
like 23.2.
Yeah, right around 23-ish.
You're not getting to 26.5 million.
And that's literally all the contracts we could trade other than Dame, right?
Yeah, you're not getting to 26.4 is the mark. Or 26, maybe like 26.3, 26.4. Yeah, you're not getting to that number. So trading for Ben... Oh, my voice. Trading for Ben Simmons without trading Dame is impossible with this year's trade deadline. There's no possible way. It's impossible. So that's why it would have been nice to maybe not trade Norm and Rocco for a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like if we're chasing cap space next year, how do we fix that? We got $9 million. Dude, my voice.
We don't toilet clogger. We're not like the biggest fans of Ben Simmons, but if you could get him for cheap in a deal where the Nets didn't necessarily want him as the asset back, and the Sixers were trying to clear space to get Harden, I think you got to take him in that situation if you don't have to give up a lot. But
yep. So it's impossible. So and we have Winslow's $4 million. Let me show you guys. This is the last part I'm gonna show. My voice is quitting on me. I don't know why. It's being weird. But so this, okay. This is our salary numbers. On the left is everything that we'd have on the team going into next year, including Simons' cap hold and Nurkic's cap hold. There are a couple cap holds I ignored that are irrelevant. That's if we buy out Bledsoe and still have Justice Winslow on the team, we'd have $3.7 million of cap space. That's like letting Ingles walk and, whoever. Now, this following section, I took out Nurkic's cap hold. So if we renounce Nurkic's cap hold, which means we wouldn't be able to re-sign him, we'd then have $21.7 million of cap room, and that's with both our picks. I just said Portland pick number 6, New Orleans pick number 12. That's just like kind of my predictions right now, right? If you cut Josh Hart, right? And this is actually should be a 3. So we'd actually have $20.7 million. Then if you cut Josh Hart, right, we'd have $32.6 million. Okay? So if you traded this, like, the 12th pick for Simmons, it could work. If you traded the 6th pick for Simmons, it could work. That's with Justice Winslow still on the team. Anthony Simons' cap hold. Eric Bledsoe, buying him out. We'd owe him $3.9 million next year. That would be dead money. We could trade... We'd basically just have to get rid of Hart and Nurkic in order to be able to trade Simmons into cap space. So it'd most likely be the 6th pick, right? And then you'd have Ben Simmons. He's like 35. He's like something like that.
40, 35, 4, something around there.
Yeah,
I'll look up exactly.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't really matter. We'd have
35, 4, 8, 6, 7, 2.
And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this would actually be 3. So yeah, I mean, it's doable, but you'd have Dame, Simmons, Simons, Little, and then nothing. A 12th overall pick. Maybe you get a rotation guy, whatever. But like Justice Winslow shouldn't be in the rotation. Keon Johnson shouldn't. Didi Lazuda, Greg Brown, none of those guys should be in the rotation. You'd obviously sign Trent Watford for next year, so you just kind of throw him into that. That'll like maybe slightly change the numbers, but just barely, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so that's kind of the problem with this route. Now, if you were able to...
And we lose all our TPs.
Yeah, and we lose all our TPs. So it's like, is this better? Or is this like a good plan to you guys? I mean, I'm sure it's a good plan to some people because they love Ben Simmons, but it's like we have Dame, Ben Simmons, Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, and nothing. And with no cap space left. So it'd be a $5 million room exception. We'd be able to sign a free agent for like $5 million, and then minimums. Right? Or maybe you can like attach this 12 pick to Justice Winslow's $4 million and trade for something after you do the Simmons trade. It's just very, very weird. Now, preferably, see, like, this is where the whole initial trade of Norm and Rocco to the Clippers for Winslow and Bledsoe, it increases our future flexibility, yada, yada, yada. If we had a deal of, like, a second-round pick and expiring on the table for Norm, and then we just let Rocco walk, that would have been better for this plan. Because you wouldn't have Winslow, and you wouldn't have Bledsoe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then, this would be 5 at this point. But you'd have like $9.6 million after Ben Simmons, right? So you could do that trade for Ben Simmons. You'd also wouldn't have Keon Johnson, so let's just take him out of there. So this would be a 5, because we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this would be a 5. So without getting Keon Johnson, without getting Eric Bledsoe, without getting Justice Winslow, and then a crappy future second.
And why do we take Didi?
What'd you say?
Why do we take Didi Lozada either?
Yeah, and like, we had no reason to take Didi Lozada. I don't think we needed to. So if you take him out of there, this would turn to a 6. You could keep Josh Hart, right? Or you could have $13 million to spend after getting Ben Simmons, right? It's still the same situation where it's Dame, Simmons, Simons, Little, you got Brown, but basically these 4 and nothing. But instead of having $2 million of free agent money to spend, you'd have 13 mil, right? Or you could keep Josh Hart.
Well, you would want to keep Josh Hart and Nurk in that situation, because then you would keep all your TPEs, and you would...
Well, that's the other route. Like, the other route,
actually,
I'm
never
not
mind.
saying.
We used it on Simmons. But the MLE is almost $10 million, so you might as well use the MLE and keep Hart and Nurkic then, and then you can add 3 players to this, Hart, Nurkic, and whatever you get from the MLE, and you're not any worse off than you were before, instead of Keon Johnson and Didi Luzada, you have Nurk and Hart. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get it, but I'm just saying, like, for this Ben Simmons route, that initial trade wasn't good. That initial trade made this route even harder.
Yeah.
Okay? Because at this point, you resign Yusuf Nurkic for, like, I don't know, 12 mil. Sorry, I need to put an extra zero, right? You resign Yusuf Nurkic for 12 mil, right? And then you have this 12th overall pick. Maybe you get a rotation player. And then you're talking Dame, Simons, Simmons, Nas, Nurkic, 12th overall pick. Like, it's a little bit better, right? Or if you could have kept Josh Hart. So, basically, yeah, I mean, my whole point is the people that were arguing that, oh, Justice Winslow and Keon Johnson and Eric Bledsoe, that trade helped our future flexibility because we got off Norman Powell. There were supposedly expiring contracts and, like, a second-round pick on the table for Norman Powell. At least. Which would have been a lot better for this route. So if this was their plan all along, that first trade was stupid. You know what I mean? But I mean, in this situation, I'd almost just rather go this route. If you really want cap space, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Ben Simmons is legit. I get it. I don't know. It's just that first trade made this plan even harder. Now, we can still move off Justice Winslow and Eric Bledsoe, but if we buy out Eric Bledsoe, it should be $3.9 million of dead money on the books next year. Right? Eric? Hello?
You must not have heard me say I had to mute for a minute.
Oh, I didn't. Sorry. Yeah, so that first trade was terrible. If we buy out Eric Bledsoe, that takes away $4 million next year, or it should, unless we like word the buyout in a way where it gets away from that, but I don't know how we do that.
We'd have to stretch it.
Yeah, we'd have
to be dumb.
No, it'd still be $3.9 million next year if we stretched it, right? Because it's 18.1 this year, plus 3.9 next year. That's 22.
Well, we could...
divide by 5.
No, we could wait till the off season to do it, and then stretch the 3.9. Okay. We did that with... it was so dumb. We owed... what's his name? Festus Ezeli. We owed him $1 million for cutting him the year after he didn't play all season. And then we stretched it to make it 3 years of like $333,000. And yeah, we just got Anderson Varejao off our books last year. But if we waited till the offseason and did it, then that's we could stretch it to like 1.3 million for 3 years, and I guess that's a little less, but it's still so stupid. Like, I don't want to take put more dead money on our books for 3 more years, or maybe 5 or 7 or whatever. I would rather just take a 1-year hit. But this is why you don't trade for Eric Bledsoe in the first place. You trade for Ricky Rubio in a first from frickin' from the Cavs. Who cares about the second round picks? You trade them for their first round pick and Ricky Rubio. Then you have a first round pick available. Maybe you didn't even have to take a 2022 first. Maybe you take a 2023 lottery protected first instead, just so you don't have any cap holds on your books. And you get Norm's contract completely clear, and then you don't have to take any money back. It makes no sense.
Yeah. So. I mean, yeah, that trade's stupid. I don't even know how else to put it. But, so if we stretched him, he'd be $1.3 million of dead money instead of 3.9, and it'd be 1.3 for 3 years instead of 3.9 for 1. That's basically how it works if we stretch him. This is what it would look like next year if we trade for Simmons. I mean, you could maybe, I don't know. Like, there's just not enough room to really fill out the rest of the roster. That's the problem. With this plan, right? And you're also talking about giving up probably like the 6th overall pick, right? And if the 12th isn't good enough, and if our pick enters the top 3, I don't think we should trade it for Ben Simmons, right? Like, at this point,
not top 3, no.
Yeah, at this point,
I mean, honestly, if we got the 6th pick and it's AJ Griffin for Ben Simmons, I don't know if that's a win for us.
Yeah, I mean, because it's basically you give up Nurkic, you give up Hart, you give up all your TPEs, you give up literally everything in the cupboard.
Yep.
Whereas, like, I mean, I at this point, I'm hoping third overall pick, right? Maybe we trade this pick for freaking Jeremy Grant, whatever. You know, that's kind of the rumor. This is the other route. And if we trade for Jeremy Grant, the Ben Simmons dream is completely dead, right? I don't know what Jeremy Grant's number is next year, but
I have some Jake Fisher info on that if you want it.
Sure, what's his info?
So shout out to 503 for the fans for getting this. He went on and asked him a question. And he's saying that there hasn't been any significant movement on a trade for Jeremy Grant as of today, but he really believes Portland is still trying everything they can to get him. And on top of that, I think this was Woj. I think it was Woj said that Detroit's asking price for Jeremy Grant has not budged one bit, still asking for 2 first-rounders.
Yeah, we're going to sell out for friggin' Jeremy Grant. I mean, Keon Johnson's a first-rounder, right? So Keon Johnson plus the Pelicans pick, right?
So Gary Walker says Simmons is a lazy bum. You'll see if you get this bum. Okay, well, this isn't necessarily our plan. We're just trying to outline what we think the best-case scenario for this plan is. And, yeah, it's tough to think of a route where, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this route might be better, right? Like, going with something like this. Right, and then maybe you can get rid of Justice Winslow or whatever, and then you'd have, like, MLE worth, like, 10 mil. And we'd still...
I think the luxury tax is like 27 million or something. So
yeah, isn't the apron like 147?
147, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'd stay below the apron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'd have to sign 3 more players for like minimums. So 3 players, it'd be like 1.75. So it'd be like 5 mil. No, not $5. Like we could stay under the apron. We're very, very close, but we could use the full mid-level exception, or we wouldn't even have to use the full mid-level exception. We could use the taxpayer mid-level exception, not worry about the hard cap, and that'd be like 6 mil, right? Like this is what, like if we trade for Jeremy Grant, let's say it's Keon Johnson and the Pelicans pick, and then let's say this is just a minimum guy, which would be like, I don't know what, 1775, something like that. And then MLE. This would basically be the offs. This would basically be the route. Right? Make sure those numbers are correct. Yeah. Oh wait, no, I didn't put the extra 0. Damn. I keep forgetting to put the extra 0. Like, this could be the off-season, right? And then you have, like, Lillard, Simmons.
I don't know if you meant to say this, but the luxury tax line is 147, not the apron.
Oh, is it? I thought it was the apron.
Nope.
Oh, so we're still out of the tax. Yeah, we're still out of the tax.
Yep.
So that's good. And then you have, like... And then your rotation is something like this, right? And I won't like this trade deadline because I think we executed it poorly if we like trade Keon Johnson and a first for Jeremy Grant, because it basically means we traded Norm, Rocco, Nance, and CJ for Jeremy Grant. That's it. And like some bad, Justice Winslow's contract that nobody wants and Eric Bledsoe's contract that nobody wants, right?
If we like Hart, you mean?
We also have Hart.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also have Hart. In that deal, we also get Hart back, so I forgot about him. But like, you'd be looking at let me just do this rotation and kind of see what we're looking at here. Like,
oh, that's interesting.
What?
Josh Hart out tonight for rest. What?
What? So we're trading him?
Dude.
I can't even, like, embrace anybody that gets traded here, you know? Anyway. What?
All right. So, you know when all the rumors started coming out early in the season that there was people not bought in, and Chauncey doesn't feel like he has guys who are dogs on defense and want to play his style and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I was told that Chauncey specifically asked to try and get like a Smart or a Dylan Brooks type guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously those guys are a lot harder to get. But Josh Hart was an attainable piece that I mentioned to this particular source, and they actually thought, yeah, that was like the perfect guy that was both attainable and would really be good in Chauncey's system, right?
Yeah.
And so flash forward a few months, and oh, what do you know? We trade for Josh Hart. Now we're just gonna retrade him to chase cap space, like when he's literally the most attainable, perfect guard / small forward that can fit in Chauncey's system, like defensively. I just don't understand that.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, this is what I'm like. Assuming we trade Keon Johnson in the New Orleans pick for Grant, I'm not thrilled with that at all. But I mean, by itself, I like whatever. Given that Keon Johnson is all we got basically for Norman Rocco, it's disgusting in terms of like the entire picture.
Oh, we got the dead money of Bledsoe too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I put that
No,
down here. It's
no,
down here.
I'm saying like we didn't just get Keon Johnson. We had to take money for next year too on top of it. Freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to trade Bledsoe, Keon Johnson. I would love to, if we're going to do that trade, I would love to include Bledsoe in it.
Mm-hmm. Instead of our TP. Because, yeah, if we include Bledsoe, keep our TP, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just keep Justice on this roster. 3 minimum players. I mean, this is what the rotation would hopefully look like next year. This would be like plan A is tank well enough and get lucky and get, Jabari Smith, or this could be Chet, or this could be Banchero, whoever, right? At the 4, you got Lillard, Simons, Jeremy Grant, whoever we draft in the top 3, and Nurkic. That's the starting lineup. Off the bench, Hart, third guard, Nas, Grant would play like, could split his time between small forward and power forward. I think he's more of a power forward. Then whoever you sign with the mid-level exception is your backup center, and maybe versatile enough to play a little bit of 4. And that's a rotation.
Mm-hmm. Something we didn't mention or not really talk about, if we do go that route too, we do have the bird rights on Joe Ingles, assuming we don't buy him out this year. So that might be someone you could sign for cheap as I don't know if he'd be a rotation guy at this point of his career, but he'd be a good locker room guy / someone you could play spot minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would try and re-sign him. You'd probably need to try and get rid of Justice Winslow, but like if you're able to get rid of him, maybe attach a couple future seconds. I don't know. Joe Ingles for like $5 million. Yeah. Right, and that still keeps you out of the tax. Which I don't think they're going to be that worried about paying tax next year, since they avoided the tax this year and therefore a repeater won't kick in. But I mean, if you could choose not to pay the tax, just don't pay the tax. If you could still fill out a team, like I'm not sure they'd need to spend a $10 million mid-level exception on a backup center. You know what I mean? But like, who's a really good backup center next year, Eric, in free agency?
I don't think that Emily is enough to get Mitchell Robinson, Nicholas Claxton, or Mo Bamba. So definitely not Ayton. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not many guys I would pay $10 million to. It'd be more like guys. I mean, what, Montrezl Harrell, like JaVale McGee or Robin Lopez. All those guys you could probably get for half of the mid level. Right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I don't. Hartenstein.
Hartenstein would be good.
I would give the full mid-level exception for Hartenstein. Screw
Would
it.
you?
Yeah. Where am I going here? I don't know. Anyway.
As said on the stream last night, we have to get Ennis Freedom back because it's our turn to have him. Boston had him, then we had him, then Boston had him again, or we had him, then Boston had him, and
He
then
can be behind Hartenstein.
all right.
I mean, like a lineup of Lillard, Simons, Grant, a top 3 pick in Nurkic with a bench of Hart, Little, and Hartenstein. So you have Hart and Hartenstein. And then, maybe you bring back Joe Ingles to play spot minutes depending on what his market is, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, or what, you just find a 9th guy that can play some spot minutes. Maybe you bring back Ben McLemore. I don't know. That's a solid rotation. It maybe isn't like a second round lineup year 1, but Grant's still only 27. Nurkic is still only 27. Simons is still young. Whoever we got with the top 3 pick is still young. Hart's still relatively young. You got Nas too, right? Like that lineup would grow for like the next 2-3 years. And if Simons can become a star, whoever we take in the top 3 can become a star, and Lillard has 2 stars next to him, and then has a Jeremy Grant and a Yusuf Nurkic, and a solid bench, then that's where you get into like the territory, hopefully, where the Phoenix Suns are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep. Well,
and that's a lot more doable than the cap space for Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Anything else for the stream? We gotta wrap this up.
Yeah.
Post-game stream tonight anyway.
No, I mean, yeah, that's why I'm telling people, like we outlined earlier, it's impossible to trade for a guy with a max contract unless Dame's going out. So if we traded every available person other than Dame, we can get to about 26, 27 million, something like that, in a contract back. So anyone making more than that is impossible unless you're talking about trading Dame out, which isn't going to happen. We can trade up to 23 million for Bledsoe's contract. So if we get rid of Bledsoe for an expiring trade, I'm not saying that Toronto would do this, but if we got rid of Bledsoe for like Goran Dragic or something, and he comes off the books completely, and you don't have dead money, that's an absolute W of a trade. Like, that's how sad this is that I'm hoping for us to trade Bledsoe for whatever, like Ricky Rubio, some dead or ending contract or whatever. Like if we would have traded for this Ingles contract, Bledsoe straight up, I would have been happy. So look for that tomorrow. That's probably one of their goals, is to prevent having that dead money on the book. But it takes having a team both with a contract close enough to match in a trade without attaching pieces, and also a team that is willing to take Bledsoe and possibly have that dead money next year. So look for that as being one of the possibilities tomorrow. If we're not keeping Keon Johnson, or like we got him to use him as a first round pick in a trade, look for a trade similar to the one we made today, where we basically get back a different rookie on a smaller contract and a second round pick or what. And then was that a laugh or a cough?
Cough. I'm coughing.
It sounded like both.
That's weird.
But yeah, so I would look for minor deals with some of the pieces we got. If we're planning on cutting Josh Hart, you might as well get some like second round picks or something for him this and an expiring contract, like trade him to say Minnesota for Taurean Prince's expiring, and maybe you get like a Nas Reed out of it, or like some second rounds or something. Yeah, so those are the kind of trades I would look at. We're not doing anything like super big. And the last thing I want to say for this stream is F you, Henry Abbott. Shut the frick up, dude. I'm so sick of that.
Did he
clown.
say something again?
Yep, he's back at it again today. Henry Abbott is an absolute fraud, and he does not deserve to have anyone's attention anymore. Everyone just frickin' ignore that dude. He said that the Blazers, Dame still wants out, and that the Blazers want to trade him. They're just at a standstill because neither wants to be the other one to tell them that. So he's basically saying Dame wants out, but he's afraid to be the one that asks out, and we want to trade him, but we're afraid to tell Dame we're the ones that want to part ways. Just an absolute freaking clown. Screw that guy.
Yeah, he's a clown. Like, he didn't learn the first time he went through this.
Yeah, Dame specifically told him, man to man, that he did not say that and that he's wrong. And Henry Abbott still stood by his frickin' sources and all that stuff. So, whatever, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times Dame has to frickin' say it.
Yep, agreed. Anyway, we'll have a post-game stream later tonight. We're going to try and keep that shorter because we have a stream the next morning. So, like, honestly, I don't know. I don't want that stream to go too long. Yeah. I don't know if we should do a Twitter space because those end up like...
Or maybe we should just do a Twitter space and nothing else.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah. That stream I don't want to go more than an hour and a half on, though, because I still got to finish up the graphics package for tomorrow and all that. So, anyway, we will catch you tonight if you tune in for the post-game show. If not, hopefully we can catch you tomorrow with our trade deadline stream going live in the morning. So, you know, have a good rest of your day. Try and enjoy this game, I guess, if you're going to watch it. With that being said, that's a wrap for this episode of Blazers Uprise Live. Until whenever we catch you next, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.